So everybody, it looks like the iPhone 15 event is going to be on September 12th, and I am extremely excited to see everything that Apple's going to announce alongside of those iPhones. So in this video, what I do want to talk about is everything we expect with this event, but also I got my hands on a couple of iPhone 15 dummy devices. I have the 15 Pro Max and the 15 Pro here, and these are very realistic mock-ups that companies use to kind of get ahead of the game when it comes to creating the cases that go on market for the iPhone 15. So we're going to take a hard look at these and see all the differences from form factor to size to feel to weight, and I'm going to explain everything and what to expect with the iPhone 15 lineup. But let's get into it. So let's quickly look at the invite itself. You guys see that Apple is kind of showing an animation with this invite of it's called Wonderlust. So you kind of see dust kind of moving away and I guess the Apple logo disintegrating a little bit. And people are already speculating what the little hidden Easter eggs are in here. Like you can kind of see that there's a C inside of that apple, which kind of indicates that there could be USB-C, or that's what to expect with the iPhone 15 lineup. Also, if you zoom into different sections of the actual Apple logo itself, you see that there's 4 different colors, which probably indicates the 4 different colors that we are expecting with the iPhone 15 Pro lineup, which is we're still going to get white, we're going to get space gray, but we're going to get a new titanium color, and I'm also going to get another blue version, which we've kind of seen in the past with the Sierra and Pacific Blue. But a quick recap of what to expect on the iPhone 15 lineup. With the iPhone 15, the regular versions, for lack of a better term, we're still going to get the 15 and the 15 Plus. It's going to come in a slew of different colors. We will be getting USB-C. We're probably going to get Dynamic Island that comes down to the regular iPhone models. We're still going to have the 60 Hz display, which is kind of weird for me to think about. But again, that's what Apple's giving us. And we also should be getting that 48 megapixel shooter that came with the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max of this year. So all welcome upgrades for those iPhones are just going to make that life a little bit easier. So when somebody picks up an iPhone 15 brand new from a Verizon store or their carrier, they're going to have the latest and greatest, and they're going to be very happy with that experience. But the 15 Pro Max and the 15 Pro, that's going to get a little bit more. So we are expecting the new chipset, so the A17 Bionic. It's going to be Apple's first 3nm process when it comes to that. So more transistors, more kind of actions per second is basically what that means, or per millisecond. And it's going to be faster, right? Probably 20 to 30% faster on the CPU. Same thing on the GPU side, because that's what Apple does. The camera is going to be a little bit different as well. It should be touting a new periscope lens to give us 5 to 10x optical zoom, and that still might only be reserved for the Pro Max version and not both the Pro and Pro Max, so keep that in mind. We finally are getting rid of that mute switch. So that mute switch that's been around since the first iPhone ever released is now going to turn into a button, and that button will be remappable. Now, how remappable, we don't really know yet, but Apple will probably give us all their native applications that we can remap it to. Maybe it's a quick access Safari, or use it as a shutter button for the camera. Or again, we'll see what Apple gives us from a remappability standpoint when it comes to this new action button. But that is a new button that's coming on the side on the new titanium frame, which should make the iPhone just a little bit lighter, but keep it very sturdy and premium. The design is going to change slightly, but you'll see with these mock-ups that I have, or these dummy models that I have, that the design isn't that different when you really look at it. Only we're going to really notice. The normal person on the everyday kind of subway carry is not going to actually know exactly which iPhone you have, but it's going to have thinner bezels overall. It will have more rounded edges, so you don't have that sharp corner kind of digging into your hand when you're holding onto the phone, which are all welcome upgrades. So it's going to keep kind of the same aesthetic as we've had since the iPhone 12, just a little bit more refined, a little bit more rounded, and again, more screen real estate in the same form factor. And then of course, we will be getting USB-C on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, as well as the rest of the iPhone lineup. I do wish that Apple gave us maybe Thunderbolt on the 15 Pro and Pro Max, just because, again, it's a pro level device, it's a camera at the end of the day with a big screen, so being able to maybe use Thunderbolt as a higher rate of transfer speed, because I don't think Apple's going to give us like a 3.2 Gen 2 port on the iPhone. That's just me being a pessimist when it comes to that, but let's see what Apple does with that USB-C port, and let's see how fast the charging is going to be. It should be faster than, I think the peak that you can do wired charging is 27 watts. I could be wrong, but double check me in the comments below, please. But when it comes to wireless MagSafe charging, you can get up to 15 watts with a MagSafe certified product. But let's see if Apple gives us a little bit more charging speed with the iPhones. And then when it comes to pricing and storage, Apple is finally supposed to be giving us a 256 as the base storage instead of 128, which would be a welcome addition, because I always personally go with the 256 gig model. And for the most part, you know, it's been 2 years since I've had the iPhone 13 Pro Max with 256 gigs, and I still have about 100 gigs of space left. But we will be getting a new 256 base model, but that probably will increase the price by about $100 for both the Pro and the Pro Max. So let's see what Apple does in that sense. But that is everything that we know about the iPhone so far, and we might be getting the new Apple Watch Series 9 as well as an Apple Watch Ultra 2 with a new black titanium finish, but let's see what Apple actually does. So now let's do a quick hands-on with these iPhone dummy models, because I do want to show them off, and I kind of want to show you guys how it feels and how my initial reaction is to these overall. Okay everyone, so let's quickly go over what I have here. So this is an iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is an iPhone 15 Pro, and then I have my 13 Pro Max here for comparison's sake to see exactly what it really looks like. But if I bring the 15 Pro Max up close, because this is probably the one that I'm going to be rocking on a daily basis, you can see that for the most part it looks the same. So if I bring it with my 13 Pro Max, the camera bump is bigger, it is a little bit, it protrudes a little bit more if you guys really look at it. But overall, if you kind of look at them and glance at them, like 99.9% of people, especially the people that don't watch this type of content, they're not going to tell the difference, is what I'm kind of seeing at. And this is a space gray variant, so it looks like it's going to be relatively similar to what we had last year. So it's kind of like matte finish back, and then it's going to be a space gray, closer to gray than it is to actual black. But what you really start to notice is on the edges and how it feels. So when you hold on to it, it feels kind of different in the hand in terms of like where the pinky sits, right? So I have my pinky sitting on here. You do feel that the 13 Pro Max, and this probably applies also to the 14 Pro Max, the corners are a little bit sharper. So if I really get in here, you can see that the corners don't round as much on the older phones. So on the 13 and 14 Pro Max, it's a very sharp 90-degree angle versus this one right here, there is a little bit of a lip, a little bit of a curvature to the actual frame, and it kind of goes into the screen and into the rear of the actual phone. So from a comfortable standpoint, or I guess comfortability, if that's even a word, it just feels a little bit better in the hand, a little bit more like grippy. You can hold on to it without it kind of digging into your hand. Not many people kind of were complaining, I don't think. I wasn't really actively complaining. Sure, was it a little bit sharp? I guess, but it wasn't to the point where I was complaining about it openly. And also, for the most part, I either put a skin or case on my phone. I'll probably rock this naked for the beginning just to kind of, use it that way. But overall, I usually have either a case to kind of add some more MagSafe magnets or at least a skin at all times. But if we go around to the side, so this is the actual hold button. This is going to be clickable still. So people were thinking that Apple was going to go full haptic on the buttons themselves, but it looks like this one will be a clickable button. And then you can see that it is, supposedly it's going to be a brushed titanium finish. This one doesn't look too brushed, and I don't know if that's what Apple's going to be doing, but that is what it looks like. But for the most part, it looks relatively similar, but you can tell the difference when it comes to this actual curvature on the actual side. Then you get to the bottom. This is going to be the most amazing thing in my opinion, right? Maybe visually, nothing will really change too much, but we do have USB-C coming. So if you guys can kind of see on there, if I can get it to focus, USB-C will be coming to all the iPhones. So not just the Pro models, but also the 15 and 15 Plus will be getting USB-C. It's gonna happen. It's the EU legislation kind of expedited this process and kind of forced the hand on Apple. Apple's gonna find a way to rename this USB-C to something, cool and markety that kind of makes it very Apple instead of USB-C. And also they're probably gonna have some sort of faster charging, which Apple again will rename and kind of make that a feature and kind of something that only Apple can do, quote unquote, even though it's still just a USB-C port. But you do see the speaker grills down there. And then on this side, this is where it gets interesting. So this is probably a model or a dummy model, which is not going to be in the US, because in the US we will not have a SIM card tray. So everywhere else, I do believe there still will be a SIM card tray on the iPhone 15s, but on the iPhone 15s in the US, there will be no SIM card tray. So again, that happened with the 14 and the 14 Pro Max and all those. Apple got rid of them and they went full eSIM, which again, we originally thought it was going to be a haptic feedback kind of button, but for the most part, it does look a little bit different, but it is still clickable. So you can see that with the 13 and 14, there are two distinct buttons with a kind of space in between. This one is kind of like a actual rocker. So there's no more kind of space in between. It's not flat anymore. It's not two individual buttons. Looks like one actual kind of button set with a little indent on each side. And then you can see here that we have the action button versus the actual volume rocker or the mute switch. So this is going to be a remappable button. How remappable, like I mentioned earlier, we don't really know exactly how remappable it's going to be, if it's going to let us kind of go to third-party applications or just kind of be able to use it as a shutter button or a quick note button or something like that. But that is a new button coming to the iPhone, which is going to be the first time Apple's replacing that mute switch. And then on the top, nothing special. And then you have the camera bump. So hopefully we will be getting a periscope lens on the 15 Pro Max and only the 15 Pro Max. So that's something to keep in mind. But this is a 15 Pro Max and this one is a 15 Pro. So again, for the first time, we should be getting some actual feature segregation when it comes to these two models. Normally, it's just a screen size and battery that differentiates these two. But this year, we could be getting, like I said, a periscope lens on the Pro Max and a non-periscope 48 megapixel camera on the regular Pro. But I like the form factor of the Pro. I mean, I haven't used a Pro size phone in a while, but this 5.8 or 6.1 inch display could go a long way. But these are the dummy iPhones that I wanted to show off. So let's finish up this video, but this is pretty close to what we're actually gonna get, I believe. So to finish up this video, yes, September 12th is going to be a great event. We're expecting the iPhone, maybe an Apple Watch Ultra 2, the release of iOS 17, iPadOS 17, macOS, and all the different softwares that Apple announced. during WWDC. But again, most importantly, it's going to be the iPhone 15 season, and I'm very excited to get my hands on it. So definitely stay subscribed because we will be getting all the iPhones, making sure that we review them thoroughly, compare them to older models, and everything in between. But that is going to do it for this video, everybody. Comment below what you're most excited about. Is it the iPhone 15? Is it something else that Apple might release during the September 12th event? Let me know in the comment down below, and leave a dolphin also in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys want to watch some more iPadOS, iOS, or macOS content, click on one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.